November 22nd, 2023, the 60th anniversary of the Kennedy assassination. But that's not the topic I'm going to get into tonight, but I just kind of mentioned the historical point there. Um, I do want to address, though, a bit of an abuse of power that Biden has engaged in very recently. And it's been something that's been brewing for a while, but apparently he's used the Defense Production Act, of all things, to try to ban gas furnaces and gas stoves as part of the climate change emergency, and therefore that is how he can justify um, the use of the Defense Production Act. Although I don't think there's any production involved here. Exactly, it's like this is like anti-production, right? Because obviously electric stoves and electric heating units do exist and would be produced however the market would demand them. But anyhow, that's why I'm categorizing this as an abuse of power. And so anyhow, this is what he did, and of course this is ongoing part of his green initiative, which is really a kind of a screwy idea the way it's being done. And I'll get into the big problems all this involves here. Because the big problem is that right now, the obvious direction he's going into is the direction of trying to make everything energy related electric, and therefore dependent primarily on the power grid, which at the same time, of course, he's trying to um, basically remove fossil fuels from the production of electric power. And since we don't have a very robust program to develop nuclear energy, in fact, I think maybe there was one reactor that went online, maybe in Georgia recently, or is going to, but there's almost no significant new nuclear going on into the grid. The result is that we would be relying basically on windmills and solar primarily to produce electricity, and those are not stable base power sources. I mean, they can be useful as a supplement, obviously, and but they really don't uh, work as a base power, because essentially there are times when, well, evening when the solar's not producing anything, and and when the wind isn't blowing, and if it happens to be an evening with no wind and no solar, your power level is going to go down, and if it's a cold weather, and people are trying to use electric heat to warm their homes, that could be a problem. In addition to the fact that they're trying to create this fleet of electric cars to replace all the gasoline cars, and therefore will put additional massive strains on the electric grid if these are um, eventually become the common car that's used. And so this is a complete energy disaster in the works. And it's being done the wrong way. If you're going to do something like this, which I'm not advocating, you should first have a solid plan to build the power that you need. But in this case, would be primarily a nuclear initiative, I would say, and and a degree to which you could reliably utilize the renewables, although they have their own problems. For instance, the windmill projects out at sea are obviously generating sonic conditions which are causing whales to beach themselves, and there are other environmental impacts after the land use issues for solar are pretty massive, and are not and although space solar has been considered as a possibility, and being a regular on the space show, I'm familiar with that. I think that we're really not, we haven't reached the cost effectiveness level on that to rely on something like that at this stage. I mean, the strongest advocates think it's ready to go, but others are saying, well, we haven't even developed a real prototype of that yet, let alone thinking about relying on it. So, all in all, this is another wacky initiative, and hopefully we'll be able to do something to reverse it. Um, by the way, if you like these videos, please give me a like. We're looking to get more subscriptions. And of course, you can click the bell there for notifications, or send links to anybody else that's not subscribed that might be interested in this. Yeah, so that's kind of my basic take on this effort. I think what could be done to oppose it is I think this is really potentially susceptible to a lawsuit, and the reason for that is that I don't think it falls within the area that the Defense Production Act is meant to cover. It's generally to be used in time of war, for instance, maybe to produce more artillery shells, like we're running a little short of because of our various commitments right now, and other things of that sort, things for the military. And and it's also been used, for instance, during the COVID crisis, to do things like support the creation of vaccine and that sort of thing. And even there, this could be arguably considered to be a crisis. At least it was the perception at the time, and I think the courts would easily have gone along with it. But in this case, there's no immediate crisis, and therefore I think that this is a very selective targeting of a specific area. And so I think that it would make a very good court challenge to see how the court system, particularly the Supreme Court, ultimately would react to this. I I'm sort of think we might have a good chance of winning this one, and maybe roll back some of these excessive presidential initiatives that he engaged in. Otherwise, we'd have to win the White House and simply rescind the initiative. I doubt I mean, it could theoretically be blocked in Congress, but I doubt that it would be blocked in the Senate somehow. But might as well give that a try, but I tend to think that probably won't happen. So at any rate, I just thought I'd hit that one, and I think that's another thing to be wary of, is that the risk that we really face due to energy shortages that are going to be generated by these really flawed policies that this administration has been producing. I want a few more things I want to kind of address a little off this subject since we're on the video. I guess it does look at this point, and we'll see what develops, that maybe we're going to have a pause in the fighting between Hamas and Israel in order to get a certain number of hostages. I've heard a number of 50, and focusing on women and children to be released, and we'll see how that hopefully that works out as far as getting the people released. As the impact on I don't think it necessarily means the end of the conflict, and I wouldn't be shocked it doesn't end in a violation of this deal somewhere, but we'll see. And so that's another thing that's brewing, and we'll kind of keep track of it. The other thing I'd like to mention also is this this smear that's being done against X, as it's now called, formerly Twitter, trying to claim that there is all this anti-Semitic stuff on there, and apparently this all got spun up because of probably of a reply to a tweet that I think that Elon Musk at his intelligence level should realize to be careful about. I don't think it was anti-Semitic at all. I think what he was really trying to suggest is that the ADL and maybe some other groups, which have been traditionally associated with Jewish interests, seem to be promoting woke interests rather than Jewish interests. And the idea being that they tend to have an attitude to focus only on issues against white people involved in certain hateful actions or hate crimes, whatever you want to call them, but ignoring the fact that the bulk of violent hate crimes against Jews are actually committed by non-whites, right? Particularly the black community, and I suspect the Muslim community maybe increasingly now with all this Hamas stuff. But so I think that was what he was referring to. But now this Media Matters group, which is a real crazy group, very leftist, has managed to create a smear claiming that there's all these business ads that come up next to something anti-Semitic, and I'm thinking, I haven't seen anything anti-Semitic that I can recall on X to speak of. I mean, thinking back on it, there's one guy I think might fit into that category. I've seen a couple of times, so it's not blatantly anti-Semitic, but he's definitely anti-Israel. I'll say that. And so that's there. But it's certainly nothing like this Hamas stuff that we've been seeing on college campuses and the streets of New York and other cities. So, and obviously, obviously, Elon Musk is not anti-Semitic. That's nonsense, and it's just this attempt to try to attack and destroy a free speech platform. And so I decided that would mention that also. So at any rate, I will be posting this, of course, as always, on Rumble as well, and the other, and of course, the address of my social media accounts are in the description below. So I'll wrap this up for now, and until next time.